Hi, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Black Girl Creative. I am so happy that you're here. I'm Alicia, your host, and I hope that you're out there creating or resting or doing what you need to do to be a sane, healthy, loving person and loving to yourself first. So welcome. Yay. Today, I want to talk about destruction. So I took a break from this podcast for a whole year, right? And it felt like I destroyed my podcast. I destroyed all the progress I made. I destroyed all the connections I made, all the dreams that I had. They were no longer able to, be brought to fruition. But that's not true, right? I felt like I destroyed everything that was good in my life. But also from that break, I was able to be re-inspired. I was able to come up with new ideas, new ways that I want to reach Black women creatives. And that wouldn't have happened if I didn't take a break, right? So we talked about rest before, but I want to talk about destruction and how destruction can be creation too. Destruction can be creation too. So sometimes some things have to be destroyed in order to be created. And you might be saying like, Alicia, when is destroying anything beneficial? I like to think about buildings. Buildings, if the foundation is off in a building, the entire building is going to be off. It's going to be lopsided. There might be cracks like in the basement, right? Because the foundation is not set well. And so when we realize the foundation is not set well, we have two choices. We can keep building and hope for the best, right? And keep making, adjustments and keep fixing things that keep breaking over time because essentially if the foundation is off, the building's not going to be well. Or we can destroy it and start over. And it's so hard sometimes because when we destroy things, when we feel like, okay, I got to go back. Let me start over. Let me go back to the drawing board. It can feel like we're losing progress. It can feel like we're going backwards, but actually we're going forward by destroying. Destruction is necessary sometimes for creation. So if the foundation is off in the building, it would be smarter to catch it earlier in the earlier stages, to start over, right? To remove all the extra weight off of the foundation because it's not good. The same thing is in our creative practices and in our lives. Sometimes we start something with good intentions, or we start things without knowing what we're doing. And then halfway through, we're kind of like, I don't think I should have done that. And so we can take our pride and our fear and keep pushing, or we can stop and reassess and maybe destroy and start over. I see this with painters all the time, right? They start with a blank canvas, they paint something and they realize, okay, I didn't really want to go this direction. Let me start over. They will take some white paint and paint all over the creation. And for me, I'm like, oh my God, no, like you lost so much progress. But for them, they know if the foundation is wrong, the entire thing is going to be off to them. It's not going to meet their taste. It's not going to meet their standards. In the same way with our creativity, like we have to realize that nothing is really wasted. So I had this conversation with my friend Alexis. Shout out to Alexis. She has been on this podcast before. And we were talking about life. And somehow in this conversation, she says, what I realize about my life is that nothing is wasted. Nothing is garbage. Everything is compost. And when she said that, that struck me. It was so profound because nothing in our lives are wasted. Nothing, even that canvas that we paint white all over and start all over again, right? Nothing is wasted. And you might be saying, well, if you paint white over a painting, it's done. You've wasted paint and time, but you also know what you won't do next time, right? You also know what you don't want to do. You also know what doesn't call to you, what's not inspiring. You know what things not to do when you start your painting again. That first painting that you did before you painted the white paint over it to start over, that was practice. That was practice. That was experimentation. It wasn't lost. You learn from that experiment. And so then you take what you learned and apply it to the next painting. So what can we take from this? From this idea of using our lives, using our creative processes, using our art as compost. There's an artist named MNT the Artist. Please check her out. She has a YouTube channel and everything. And she often upcycles things that people would throw away and uses them as art. And I want to have her on the podcast. I really want to interview her so she can share her own story and her own process. But it's really inspiring because a lot of us think that we need new things. We need new paints. We need new, microphones, whatever we're using to create our art. But we have the goods already within us. What do we have already that we can access and use as compost in our creative process? A lot of us are overlooking it, or we're undervaluing what we already have. We're also undervaluing our experiences, the wisdom that we hold, and we think that we have to go outside of ourselves to find the proper technique or the right way to do something. But the truth is that sometimes in your destruction and you're tearing something apart, there lies the materials you need, the materials you're longing for. So think of this building that we talked about before, right? The building. So, okay, we realize the foundation is off. Okay, let's scrap everything and start over. Now you have material. You have broken down wood and piping, down to copper, right? You've broken down bricks, and now you have material to be able to use to build something different and something new. Nothing is ever wasted in your creative process. Nothing. So I would ask you, what do you have? Do you have old paints and old paint brushes? Maybe you don't have paint brushes at all. Maybe there are things that you can break down to like its root, like its element, like its elemental root, to create something new from it. Destruction is an opportunity for new creation, even in terms of space, right? If you break down a house, if you bulldoze a house down, you have room to set up something else that you can imagine. Maybe you don't want to build a house now. Maybe you want to build like a tiny house and have a farm, right? But you have all this new space and all this material to use to bring forth a new dream and a new idea. So I even think about like some of the dreams that we have tried in the past, some of the things I feel like are a waste or, that are trash, like our dreams, our ideas, our experiences, or things that went sour, things that didn't go the way that we wanted to, and we see it as garbage, as waste. But what if we use that as compost? What have we learned from those experiences? What raw materials do we have access to from those experiences? What connections do we have? Don't poo-poo and throw away the things that you've experienced because they didn't turn out the way that you want them to. Sometimes destruction had to be the way so that you can see what you actually have in front of you. Again, I talk about this often, but as a singer, I didn't have access to, a full band. I didn't really know how to, play guitar like that. Like I play enough to get the idea across and to have fun, but I don't play guitar enough to be a guitarist, which is fine. I don't need that. But what I realize is that even though I don't have a guitarist, hand set or whatever, I know chords. I know what I want to play. And so even on some songs, when I play the guitar, I play the string one by one. Who said that can't count, right? Who said that can't count? Okay, girl, you never really learned how to play guitar, but you know what keys you want to play. You know what chords you want to play. So if you can find those strings, then voila, you're playing guitar on a song. There are scraps of songs that I have that are laying up on my, my external hard drive that I need to go revisit and create something. These scraps are still worthy. I can still use pieces of that to create new art. Nothing is ever wasted in our creative process. So like I said, destruction leaves us with new materials to be able to create something else beneficial. So maybe you get down to the raw materials, maybe you get down to space, right? Sometimes some things have to die. Sometimes we have to let go of things to make room for new things. We're approaching fall. And the leaves are starting to fall out off of the tree outside of my window. And it fell pretty early, actually. It's still kind of hot outside, but the trees know that autumn is coming, right? And so why do the trees let go of the leaves? It takes a lot of energy to keep leaves alive, but in the wintertime, there's not enough sunlight so that the leaves can get the nutrition it needs to fuel the tree itself. So instead of, putting out all this energy to keep the leaves alive, the trees let go of the leaves. And it can feel like destruction. It can feel like loss. It could feel like a waste, right? But even the leaves coming down to the base of the tree serve a purpose. Leaves turn into compost. Leaves turn into compost and actually aid and help the trees and help the animals underneath of the leaves. Leaves are also, they create like insulation because the ground gets cold. Leaves play an important part, but we're so used to we got to blow it away. We got to rake it up. We're so disconnected from nature that we don't even see that nothing even in nature wastes itself. There is no waste in nature. We just don't value what is in nature and we see it as waste. And it's the same of our own lives because we are nature as well. And there's nothing wasted in us. Nothing. No wasted opportunity, no wasted time, even though it can feel like it. I know, I know what it feels like to feel like you've wasted your time with a person or with a project that never comes through. There's still something from there that you can get because nothing is a waste and your life is not a waste. And it is insulting to say that about you and your creativity and the gifts that God has given you to create. There's nothing. You are so resourceful. You are so thoughtful. You're so creative that nothing that you have around you is waste. Nothing. You can find a way to metabolize anything around you. I don't care what you feel like you don't have. I don't care what you feel like is a waste. It's not. How can we change our perspective and change the idea of destruction being loss and death into destruction being creation and a new opportunity, a clean slate? Now, obviously, destruction doesn't feel good when it's happening, right? Like when you miswrite something or you put the wrong stroke on the canvas. Yes, it sucks. I'm not going to pretend like I'm just like, okay, new opportunities. No, you give yourself time to mourn. You give yourself time to weep. You feel frustrated, you feel angry, you feel annoyed, right? Like all the feelings, you feel all the feelings, right? Because in destruction, while you're bulldozing down a house, destruction doesn't feel good. It looks like chaos. In the fray, you see smoke and confusion and, there's dust everywhere and it just looks like a bunch of broken pieces because we really haven't taken time, one, to see the things for what they really are. A house is made up of multiple things. It's not just a house, right? Like a house is made up of systems, made up of structures, made up of many things, just like our bodies, right? Our bodies are not just our bodies. Our bodies are made up of many communities. Many communities. And when you break it down all the way, you get to like what? A cell or an atom or, whatever is beyond that we have not discovered yet. You know what I mean? The space in between the atom. In the same way, our creativity is just like that. No matter what we do, if we're making a painting, the painting is not just the paint, right? It's your life experience. It's your perspective. It's your interpretation. It's your understanding of color, and not even like color theory, but what emotions are tied to the color that you use, right? When you're singing, you're not just singing notes, right? You are using the voice of the ancestors or people who came before you. You're using stylings that speak to you. You're communicating words in a way that people can feel when they listen to that thing. When you break a thing all the way down, it's made up of multiple communities. In your art, it's the same way. When the dust settles, when you're able to mourn over that house, mourn over that painting, mourn over those songs, mourn over the years that you feel like you wasted, mourn over those relationships that are no longer. When you're done mourning, then you can create from that. You can take the scraps, you can take the broken pieces, you can take the little communities, the things that make up that thing, and use it for your good and for your benefit. Because in you, there is no lack. In you, there is no loss. In you, there is no destruction. There is creation. You are so creative. You are so blessed. You are so gifted that even things that are destroyed in your life are opportunities for creation. Even in the destruction, you're able to create new things. There are so many women that I follow online who have been through hell, who have been through so much, and they have taken time to mourn. They are mourning now. They are healing now, right? They're not waiting until they're using air quotes heal to do the thing that they want to do. Some people are healing through what they're creating. And that's beautiful because they're using those broken pieces and re-putting them together again to be beneficial and helpful, not only to themselves, but to other people. It's amazing what can happen, what can be birthed through that chaos after the room clears, after the dust settles, right? You mourn and figure out what else can be done. And then you move forward with that. I'm going to use one more example to get this point across, and I hope that you're able to resonate with what I'm saying. But think of things that are destroyed before something better comes. What is destroyed before life comes through? I think of a seed. A seed is a whole forest within one little, pebble-sized thing, a husk, right? And when you put that seed in the ground, what happens? It breaks. It is destroyed. The seed itself is destroyed. And we can look at that seed and be like, oh no, destruction, chaos, confusion, when that green thing bursts through, right? But we usually can't see it because it's happening under the ground. But destruction is happening. Destruction is happening. And then what happens? The plant breaks through the soil and creates new life and new seeds. So now instead of just that one seed, you have multiple seeds. And then those seeds create more plants. And it keeps growing on and on and on and on like that, right? It's the same thing with our lives. Because we are creative beings, we are sacred beings, because we are creative, again, creative and not in the way that's like artistic, but everything we do has an effect on everything. Like that's how powerful we are. That's how powerful our creativity is. Even in death and in destruction and loss, there is still beauty. There is still growth, right? There is still flourishing. There is still life. There is still breath. There's still joy. Some way, somehow we find a way to take our broken pieces, our broken hearts, and create songs and works of art. We take the wisdom we learned from our ancestors who are no longer here and honor them through the wisdom that they've shared, sharing their wisdom with others. We take what is destroyed and create new life with everything we put our hands to. That is the power of your creativity. Destruction is creation too. And I am not saying, when you feel the pain to ignore it and be like, I'm going to use this for creative work. No, like you're human. Feel it, mourn it, cry over it, be angry, go through all the stages of grief and then go back again if you need to, right? And then take those pieces and figure out how you can create something beautiful from something destroyed. Destruction doesn't always have to be heartbreak. I also want to say destruction can be a new opportunity. Destruction can be letting go of things that are dead. Again, we're going into autumn. The trees are reminding us. The trees are showing us what it looks like to let go of things even beautifully. Like When you're seeing the trees turn colors, there's art even in that, right? The yellows and the ambers and, even some green that's left over. They're still making a show out of loss and destruction. And then they're taking their own leaves and changing it into something that actually brings life, that brings warmth to the world around it. And that's the power that you hold. And we have the choice. We don't have to do it, but we have the choice to. Even in destruction, there is creation. And I hope that you see yourself as a creative being, as a live being, as nature, as sacred, as holy, as gifted, because God has gifted you. Like, you are the reflection of the creator, of the ultimate creator. And all that God creates is life. And so if we are reflections of God, then what we do is create life too, even out of destroyed, and destruction and chaos and confusion. You got this. You are a life-bringing being. So bring life. Nothing is wasted. All of the things are compost. Shout out to Alexis for this beautiful conversation and for the inspiration. And I hope that you're able to take this with you on your creative journey. What I want to ask you is, what has been destroyed? What do you need to mourn? Because sometimes we skip over that. We don't deal with it. We just be mad. Mourn over it. What parts are you mourning? Be specific, right? What parts do you want to leave for someone else to deal with, or leave to not deal with at all? And what parts can you take? How can you break this down in a way that can be used for your benefit? The house is destroyed. So now you have pieces of wood and copper, cement. I don't even know what goes into houses, but you know what I mean? Like, you have all these different pieces, porcelain, all the things. How can you use the materials that were broken apart in the destruction to create something beneficial and beautiful and honest and authentic, and something that is healing and life-giving? And it doesn't have to be positive, right? I've written a whole album about heartbreak. And even in me writing about heartbreak, it still helped other people. Just be real, be yourself, be honest, be present, right? Go through all the stages of grief, share what you want to share, and keep sacred what you want to keep sacred for yourself. Because we don't want you just out here exploiting your pain. But we want you to metabolize it in a way that is beneficial for you and for others when you decide to share. I also want to share with you that next week, September 18th through the 22nd, is Black Girl Creative Week. Yay! So what does that mean? Every day next week, I'll be going live on YouTube, and I'll be sharing the live later on the podcast. So if you want to sign up and get the replays and get access to all the goodies and all the ideas that I have coming for next week, please sign up at aleciarenece.me/BGC week. Again, that's aleciarenece.me/BGCWEEK. All right. So I hope that this is helpful. If it is, let me know. Leave a review. Send me an email if you want to let me know you're listening. And if you know a Black girl creative, or a Black woman who is a creative, or just a Black creative person in general who needs to hear this, please share it with them. I would really appreciate that. And I'm sure they would as well. But happy creating, Black women. Happy seeing, happy living, happy resting. And I hope that you know that nothing is wasted in your life. Everything is compost. Everything can be repurposed at the right time using the right materials to do good in your life and in the lives of others. Okay? I see you. I love you. Keep creating, because what you create, what you make, what you share with the world, it matters, and you matter. And I hope to see you next week during Black Girl Creative Week. All right? Have a wonderful day. Bye.